You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Today is September 26th, the last Friday for the month of September, and this is our last program just before the ASCA, Ambazonia Strategic Constituent Assembly conference that will be holding in Washington, D.C. Let's start the program by doing what I do every time. Greetings, sending special greetings to our ASA, Amazonia State Army, appreciating them for the work they do tirelessly in defending our territory from La République du Cameroun, in protecting our citizens, and in giving hope for future generations. I also want to salute our brothers and sisters residing in neighboring La République du Cameroun, and that sooner than later we'll be back home in Biya, where we all belong. I also want to appreciate those watching from all over the diaspora and hope that as the United Nations General Assembly meets, perhaps, just perhaps, they think about the former British Southern Cameroons and think about the dishonesty that pervaded that time and prevented us from being an independent state rather than being part of La République du Cameroun as a federal state. With that said, I want to invite my guest today. We've not had him for a while now, Dr. Fred Lobati, to The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Welcome, Doc, and it's great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, wonderful to have you again together in the same program. It's a while. I've been busy, and I'm very happy that we have this opportunity to share some good information with our people.
Thank you so much. So the main topic is the culture of bribery and corruption in French Cameroon. And there's a reason we're bringing this topic now, because there are so many examples. The most significant, obvious one is what is happening in terms of pushing someone who is almost on his dying bed to be a president. But I jumped the gun. Let me just start with the basics. It seems easy to know what bribery and corruption means, but I think when I ask you that question, what is bribery and corruption, you'll probably go into details to tell us what is bribery and corruption, Doc.
Yeah, generally, the description or definition in the dictionary is that bribery is the offer, giving, receiving, or soliciting of something of value with the intention to improperly influence the actions of an official or other person in a position of trust or authority. So you take a bribe in order to change the outcome of something in your favor corruptly, unjustly. Corruption is a dishonest, fraudulent, or criminal use of entrusted authority and power for personal gain. This abuse of power can occur in any sector, including the government and business and other forms of media. So basically, it's doing something to distort the truth and justice and and basically self interest for a few individuals instead of the serving the many.
Okay, thanks for that definition. I think most people know that, but it's good to hear it again over and over again. So, what impact does bribery and corruption have on a society?
Yes, so in the Bible, for example, it says that um, righteousness, doing the right things, uplifts a country, but sin
Mhm.
is a reproach to many people. So basically, a society that is plagued by bribery and corruption cannot develop properly. Because you get incompetent people occupying positions, not doing their jobs, and getting away by giving bribes. You see it exemplified in La République du Cameroun, how the country is dilapidated and keeps getting worse and worse every day. People not doing their jobs, taking bribes, roads abandoned, trash all over the place, uncleaned, not to mention hospitals and other places of business or governmental actions. Things are not taken care of because people take bribes in order to avoid doing that which is right. And so the society can only go down. But if you go to a different society where they try to uphold things that are right, for example, if you live in the West, you go to an office for service, you don't give bribes to get government work. It's something that the people serving you are paid for. They just do it. But in Cameroon, for example, you go to any office for any service, they will serve you until you give them a bribe. And if they're not happy with what you're giving them, they wouldn't do anything. That's why the country is stagnated and looks and sees is the way it is. They borrow money for infrastructure, say constructing the road from Douala to Yaoundé, and they squander more than three times what the equivalent amount that other countries will use for the same project, and still they don't finish the project because it's been through bribery and corruption they have squandered the money. So bribery and corruption only destroys a people.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. It's so pervasive in French Cameroon that it's just the norm. And you said from the very beginning, if that's the culture of a country, then the country will never progress. And we all remember the days when you travel to La République du Cameroon, you land either at Douala or Yaoundé, and just to get your things, which are uh, your personal items that you travel with, they will expect you to give them something before you can take your things out of the airport. Meanwhile, you already paid
Mhm.
for a flight, and you may have even paid for extra luggage, but to get it out of the airport, they expect you to bribe. Or the common one, where it's so very offensive, pardon me, where people are traveling from one city to the other, and they will have to bribe at every station where there's a police or guard or whatever, just to continue on their trip. It's so unfair. Uh, I read this about Cameroon. As of the most recent 2024 Corruption Perception Index, CPI, published in early 2025 by Transparency International, Cameroon ranks 140th out of 180 countries. This ranking indicates that the country is perceived as having a very high level of public sector corruption. And then it says key issues contributing to corruption: impunity for officials. A recurring problem in Cameroon is a lack of consequences for the current officials. Weak institutions. But I'll let you go on, Doc. Let me ask you the next question because I'm sure you have all these answers to give us. Um, when did bribery and corruption start in French Cameroon? When did it start?
From the very, very beginning of that country. And
Mm.
anyway, you can even carry it before when the Europeans came to for our resources basically to Africa. When they met the local chiefs, they gave them gifts, what you may call gifts, which were like cigars, alcoholic beverages like whiskey, and a mirror that you can see your
Mirror.
face in.
Yes.
And then when the chief thought, wow, this is modern, this is different from our palm wine, I can see my face, which I couldn't see before. They smoked this thing, which was better than the leaf that we used to put on, that pipe and smoke. And they said, yeah, you can have the land. So basically, that's where it started. The colonial masters came and literally bribed the local chiefs to take control of their land. Many of them didn't resist. But in La République du Cameroon, if you go back to its history, they have always been living in bribery and corruption, and is perpetrated by the French. In a previous program that I did before, Ahidjo was decrying that he used mischief to prevent the UPC from exercising politics in Cameroon and coming to power, or even being noticed politically, by bribing people, killing them, and keeping them out of scene. And then he was regretting that biya came literally and improved on this mischief and excelled in it more than he did. That was what Ahidjo himself said. And if you go back to the children of Amazonia, he says that after we joined, we went attempted to join them in Fumban. Immediately after that, some of our people started compromised to collaborate with La République du Cameroon. One of the earliest one was EML Endele. Yeah, this is surprising for many people to hear, because EML Endele is like a saint. You know, he helped to bring us out of Enugu, the Eastern House, in 1954, and carried us to Boya and won elections and did his own things. He also did some bad things while he was ruling. Women got angry, and that's how Foncha got elected. And then, of course, Foncha then became prime minister after he won the elections and led us to this so-called meeting in Fumban. And they were surprised to hear that Ahidjo said, according to the suggested constitution that I gave you, and the people were surprised. They said, where was the suggested constitution? So Foncha did not show them. The question was, when Foncha was interacting with Ahidjo in that early phase, did some kind of understanding exist between them, or why did he not show that document to our fathers to study it before they went to Fumban? One. Then number two, in 1966, just about 5 years after we joined them, Endele was the one asking that all political parties should be abolished and only Ahidjo's party should be maintained as the only party in Cameroon, and adding the nation on it, Union Camerounaise Nationale. So they made it a CNU, the popular CNU. Can you imagine Endele, who had his own party? Foncha had his own party. Even Muna had his own party. We were practicing multi-party elections in our country. Being the mouthpiece that they were using to do this. And then you will also hear, I know why I'm bringing this out, because I will show you where the bribery takes place. It says that the destruction of the southern Cameroons, then known as West Cameroon, was accelerated when Amadou Ahidjo, Emmanuel Tabi Egbe, and Solomon Tandeng Muna were instructed from the Élysée, were instructed from the French presidency to bring down and destroy Auguste Ngomjoa, the last prime minister of West Cameroon, and thereby destroy the infrastructures of the West Cameroon. How were Emmanuel Egbetabi and Muna co-opted? That was through bribery and corruption. And I'll go back and show you why I say that. So after Ahidjo had literally pushed away Foncha, and Foncha no longer had any voice in politics, and went him back to the village, he says that at the beginning, before the referendum, at the beginning of May 1972, Amadou Ahidjo had traveled to France. He surely went to update Élysée how much progress he had made in dismantling the infrastructures of the southern Cameroons. He returned to Yaoundé on May the 5th, 1972, and immediately summoned the former vice president of the Republic of the Federal Cameroon, John Foncha, to his office. He told him that he had made up his mind to dissolve the federation. John Foncha argued and rejected the idea, and argued, reminding Ahidjo that any dissolution of the federation was against what they had agreed in Fumban, which was enshrined in the federal constitution. It stated in section 47, Foncha said, that any proposal to revise this present constitution and that impairs the unity and the federation of it shall be inadmissible. He further told Ahidjo that he was going to meet with his people for them to collectively oppose it. Ahidjo looked at him and laughed. You need to hear this. Crossed his legs and asked which people was he talking about. In order to end the discussion, Ahijo reminded Foncha that he is done with him. He should leave his office now. Leaving Ahijo's office with anger, John Guk Foncha invited his brothers, he thought, to meet and take a common stand on how to stop Ahijo from dissolving the federation. In the course of their meeting, hear this, he discovered that Ahijo had touched and possibly oiled the lips of almost everyone.
Oh, wow.
He Foncha found himself alone, and he could not amount any opposition alone in rejecting Ahijo's peaceful revolution. So he found out that Ahijo had bribed the other Anglophones, the Munas and the Egbes. We were thinking that these people were representing us, but they were bribed. That was very early on. And then Muna became the campaign manager for the referendum. Remember, this was May 5th. The referendum took place on May 20th. So in less than 3 weeks, so Muna now campaigned. Remember that the Elysee had given instructions to dismantle our infrastructures. And this shows you that they were bribed. Another area of the bribery and corruption that I want to bring out just happened recently. In fact, Biya's daughter just came out within the past few weeks and said that, you need to hear this, that people should not vote his father because his father has caused a lot of suffering in Cameroon, and even she herself is suffering in the family because of what his father does, which is bad. And in the process of that, she mentioned that the director of the civil cabinet had told her to go and overdose and die, that she is not needed. And so this director now bowed down on his knees and was pleading with Biya, and Biya is in Switzerland. He took off for damage control to fix the family because of what the daughter has said. But now hear what the daughter says. This is where the bribery comes in. So then he says, as Cameroon plunges into misery, Mvondo Ayolo, a senior official, has just dilapidated 24 million in a hotel in Switzerland just for to stay in Switzerland because he wanted to beg Biya. So Brenda Biya on a Telegram conversation makes shocking revelations to a friend. So she strongly trusts a certain Antoine of Swiss nationality resting in Geneva. That's the person she was talking to. I was approached, that's what she says. I was approached by a delegation from Cameroon on Friday, October 19th. Today is Thursday, October 20, we are September 25th.
September 26th, yeah.
Yeah. Sent by my uncle, the Secretary General, accompanied by the Cameroonian ambassador in Geneva. See the delegation, ambassador, government officials, following my exit demanding not to vote for my father. They gave me a sum of 15,000 euros and a Mac Pro computer to change my mind. They asked me to make another video and say that I don't know anything about politics and that I am a child, yet I am 27 years old and Cameroonians younger than myself are already doing politics. They even asked me to support my father for the next election, which I refused. My message not to vote for Paul Biya is clear, and Cameroonians must understand the necessity of alternating to other Cameroonians. I would not ask anyone to vote for my father, even if I am given anything. They eventually succeeded. That bribe worked. Because subsequently, then she made a different outing and said, oh, in French, mon père est un grand homme, je trouve que c'est un excellent candidat. So the bribe worked, and then you don't know, maybe they added more money. And so now she changed her mind that my father is an excellent man, he's a good candidate. But you can see this example just recent and going right far back to our founding fathers, how bribery and corruption has been used to change the minds and consciences of people to achieve the aim of defrauding the population and stealing our resources. Those are some few examples. And people know from the experience on a daily basis about bribery and corruption in the homeland.
Wow. And when you were talking about the fact that they had already bribed some of our own people to support federation, Um, I was thinking that so perhaps if they bribe these individuals to support federation, and eventually they realize that this federation was, I mean, not to support federation, to abolish the union, right? Because we're supposed to be a federal system. So this bribery was to abolish the federal system and make us on the same one Cameroon and one flag with one star in the middle. And then they realized with time that we were really considered second class citizens, because I tell you, Doc, that if this had happened, we were all young and growing and enjoying our West Cameroon culture of doing things, and the way uh, we went to school, the way we did our own banking, all those things. If they had just respected us a little bit more, um, I don't think any Southern Cameroonian will be even thinking about going back to federation or requesting our outright independence. The problem is that since that 1972 to when the teachers and lawyers were on a strike, things were going downhill for Southern Cameroonians in terms of job opportunities, in terms of just education, our businesses. In fact, all our important industries were already gone. So we are seeing the handwriting on the wall that there was really a plan to systematically destroy us, so that in the long run, we will only become citizens as poor as possible and listen to whatever La République du Cameroun says. What do you think about that analogy? Because again, if they had treated us right, well, we will not be asking for anything different.
Remember that Ahidjo was never a free man. Before La République got their so-called independence on January 1, 1960, a week before, Ahidjo had signed an 11-point agreement with the French to have total control of the country.
That's
And
true.
among those points that we've read in other programs, the French said French shall be the only language in that country, and that the form of education will be controlled by the French from all levels, from the primary, preliminary, right all through to university will be controlled by the French. And so when Ahidjo was making promises to our forefathers a year later in February
Yes.
1961, before the plebiscite, how when we join them, we shall be a federated state and they will respect our institutions and accept our certificates and will keep our form of government, our prime minister. Ahidjo was lying because he was a slave. You had 11 chains around his neck. All those points are like chains. All those 11 agreed upon points with the French is like chains. Ahidjo was a chained dog. He had no freedom. So he was just telling a lie. And after we thought that we were joining them, then you realize that basically the French using Ahidjo progressed to dismantling all our infrastructures, like we just said. And they use bribery and corruption to accomplish that. That's why I was saying that when Fonchai was so enthusiastic to work with Ahidjo, bringing us together, and did not give the proposed constitution for our forefathers to study before we went to Fumban, are you sure Fonchai did not get something? That is a different question, but I believe he did.
Yeah.
Then, if Endele, whom we know was a firebrand wanting us to go back to Nigeria, and was a respected doctor in Nigeria when we left Enugu to go to Boya, and is revered almost like a saint among us, when he became a spokesperson to dismantle all political parties in favor of Ahidjo's party in 1966, are you sure he did not get something? But we do know that the French presidency gave instruction to Emmanuel Egbertabi and and Muna and Ahidjo to dismantle all our infrastructures. Are you sure they just gave verbal instruction? They gave them bribes. And you can see it now when Ahidjo told Foncha off in his face that I've decided to get rid of the federation and we're going to do the referendum no matter what. And Foncha thought he was going to meet his brothers like they went to Fumban to do something to protect and preserve what they thought they had accomplished. And when he went, he realized that they were laughing over him because they had received their envelopes. Their mouths had been oiled. They had eaten soya. The oil of the soya was still in their mouths. So Foncha was now alone and could do nothing. So it started long time ago and has continued till today, where they are giving bread and sardine during election times, bribing the chiefs, bribing even the preachers and the pastors and the priesthood and the bishops and the archbishops or whatever you call them. Everybody in society is bribed one way or another with little small envelopes.
Right.
So it started a long time ago. It's in their vein like blood flows in our bodies. That's how bribery and corruption runs in La Republic of Cameroon.
You said something that I like to repeat so that people understand that we did at the very beginning. Since that 1959, when they had that agreement accord between La République du Cameroun, French Cameroon, and France, and you just reminded us that Ahidjo, already had a chain around his neck because he had to succumb. The country had to succumb to France. France was really the country in charge of French Cameroon, and then you now gain former British Southern Cameroons added to it. So now they have another source of where they can get some more of their our wealth. They have more land now to take advantage of. When you say that, we were really doomed from the beginning. So this bribery and corruption, then I'm going to ask you how, you've probably already answered some of it, but I think I'd like you to explain some more. What impact has this had on the development and life of the people of the former British Southern Cameroons?
You see how our people have been abandoned. Even without going into details, without the revolution, everybody knew that Muna betrayed us. Muna had been bribed and used to push away Foncha, and then Muna allowed himself to be used to compromise our Anglo-Saxon culture and contribution, what we stood for. And his personal family enjoyed. His children went to school, they came back, opened hospitals in Douala, and had law offices everywhere, and his family did well. But the rest of the former British Southern Cameroonian children are suffering. They have been abandoned, no infrastructures, and basically their resources have been stolen away. And today their children are abandoned in abject poverty and even followed and killed, where over 70 million have been killed by this biya in the so-called the war in the Nozo, as they call it. But that is genocide against the English speaking. That is the consequence of what has happened to us when Foncha, when Muna, Egbe, and even Endele, I believe, took something for something and compromised what we stood for. And now we find ourselves where we are.
Well, we can even bring that culture to our quest for recognition. What we've gone through since 2016, after the teachers and lawyers went on the strike, to just ask for simple demands, and those were not. They were given a deaf ear, and then the consortium, and then SCACUF, and then the governing council, and then the interim government and then now the government. Going through all that, we've had some key elements in positions, significant positions that have disappeared, that were the really key elements, but over time they have disappeared for the same thing that we're talking about, the culture of bribery and corruption. I don't know whether you want to talk about this a little bit, because it's really touching us.
Right.
Even
And
at this
we
moment.
notice the Republic does not come to reason and talk with you. They are finding ways to bribe you. Remember, they are coming after our wealth and resources. The British said the former British Southern Cameroon is a treasure trove. We have a lot. They want a lot of things. They don't want us. So they are giving little bribes to us to get our things. So when they are coming to talk to us, they are not coming to listen to what we're saying, and they're not coming to solve any problem, which they had deaf ears. So when the teachers came out and the lawyers, and they were meeting upstation, they were offering them 500 million francs each to just quench the thing.
Right.
But because some of them stood their ground and wouldn't take the money, they were close to. They were almost about to sign the thing and give each of them 500 million each. Then a gendarme shot somebody off station. We heard that they actually wanted to arrest them and carry them to Yaoundé. So that night, Frundi ran up there, even Ben Muna ran up there, and many others, and they did not pick them that night. And so they said, well, they will make a final decision at the church center. And while they were about to dissolve, a gendarme shot and killed somebody on an Okada, and that's where everything fell apart. But they got close to giving each of them 500 million. Can you imagine if you are struggling for earning 200,000 francs for your small salary after you left ENS as a team, and you're struggling to survive and you don't even get your money all the time, and somebody they're dangling 500 million in front of you to give you? It's very easy to get tempted and be deceived, and your conscience is compromised. But the people, some of them wanted to, but it never happened. God granted grace, it didn't happen. And since then, they have always looked for people to bribe. Those people in La Republic government of Anglo-Saxon extraction from the former British Cameroon have all been bribed. You can pick their names, whether it's Yang or whoever. Even the Diongute, his son is the chairman of the committee that is constructing the refinery in Kribi. Even while he was lying that there will be no refinery in Kribi and that Victoria refinery will be constructed, his son was a chairman of that committee, and a week after that, they went and put the foundation of that refinery in Kribi. So he has been bribed. They even made him refuse turn away his Anglo-Saxon Anglophone woman and marry a Belibutu, a Betibulu. So they have been compromised. They live well. They have nice houses, have drive Mercedes, and feel like they're fine. But they have compromised the lives of millions of us. And so too, they have approached the people in the diaspora. You can keep naming them and approach them and talk to them. They use some of our former classmates that are working with them. They use all kinds of people, reach like a snake in the grass, and talk to you. And if they cannot buy you off, they kill you or even fake your death, like the field marshal of Amazonia. They faked his death and sent him to Ghana and gave money to their family to be eating there. That's what La Republic does. They never listen to solve any problems. They only come to find a way to buy you off and kill you. After they have succeeded to buy Frundi off, they ended up killing Frundi. When Frundi was going to form the SDF in 1990, they sent ministers, English-speaking ministers from Yaoundé, to come and offer him 3 billion francs not to launch the SDF. He refused to take the money at that time. Then white French came and rented his house opposite the market to put a gamble, this gambling place in there, and offered him large amount of money, like 46 million a month for rents. That's another way that they were bribing him. Then they got him to that point where he built his house in Yaoundé, and then very soon Frundi was compromised. Ministers were coming and having breakfast in his house. Each minister that came went to his house to have breakfast, and then very soon he was going into Yaoundé. Then he started dancing with them in Yaoundé, and they finished him off. That's what they do. They will always find a way to get you, and if they cannot keep you, and when they are ready, they kill you off. They always do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we know of, we've heard stories like our voice, somebody who used to be the voice of the people of Southern Cameroon in those days. I don't want to call his name, but we know who he is. He disappeared, and they've really been clear statements made by people from French Cameroon that he was given large sum of money, and he has disappeared now. He has had his own TV show, and we don't even see anything going on there anymore. So we don't know exactly whether the money is almost finished.
It's the same. In the negotiations, he negotiated the freedom of his brother. That's why they faked his death and then sent them to Ghana. They are living in Ghana well. They have a nice big home there and enjoying themselves.
I don't know how they sleep at night. I don't know how to sleep at night. That's the thing. When you are dishonest, when you live by bribery and corruption, and you're dishonest, and you do things that end up failing a nation, because they failed Southern Cameroon, Amazonia. the end will not be good for them. That's just there's something I believe in karma. The end will not be
Mhm.
good for them. Let them enjoy now, but darker days will befall them because the God that we serve is not sleeping. Let me
Mhm.
ask you this other question as we still talk on this topic. Can this practice be eradicated from, uh, let's first say from La République du Cameroun, and then we can talk about our own society.
First of all, La Republic du Cameroon is like not able to be saved. I mean, bribery and corruption is so inherent in them. Can you tell me any office that you can go to that country and get served without exchanging money or giving something for something? Not to mention police officer or the gendarme, a military officer on the street. They were having free rides in taxis just because they were in their uniform. That's a form of bribery and corruption.
Right,
The
absolutely.
taxi driver thought that when I have an army officer in the front, the other armies will not stop me, so they gave them free ride all over the national territory. That's bribery and corruption. Then they extort money out of people, right there from the streets, right through to the presidency. One time when they told me that a minister had embezzled enough, he said, "Where is the proof?" And then he turned to the minister and said, "Where's my own portion of the money that you've embezzled?" Right through to the presidency. And even some military people have told me, they said, they are taking bribes from the presidency. Why should I not take bribes on the side of the road? So, La Republique, it's only going to be God that will save them. It's because it runs in their veins like blood in our body.
Hmm.
If you remove all the blood, the person will die. It's like they cannot live without bribery and corruption. So the question now is us. Now that they
Yeah,
have entangled us in this mess, how can
right,
we be saved? How are we going to liberate ourselves? And
right.
I believe that we still have a chance and we still have a hope. We have to make up our mind. If you discover that you are in the wrong road,
Mhm.
don't keep procrastinating and keep going and hoping that one day you will turn around. Turn around, light away. Today is the day. When you know the truth today, turn and move the other way. So, as we declared our independence and we stand firm, when this bloodthirsty group that is killing our people is swept out of existence, our people will be actualized. And then we have to also not carry with us those dirty, unclean practices from those people. We should not
Yeah.
continue them among ourselves. That is like cleaning and washing your dirty linen. That is the dirty linen that we will be having when we actualize our independence. We'll be bringing the habits of La République du Cameroon and doing everything to get rid of them.
Yes, we have a long way to go. This culture of bribery and corruption, it's gonna take a lot of work at every level to cleanse our communities because, as you said, some of our people have learned it so much that they're even better than some of the La République du Cameroun's elements. But I think we can do it. It's just a matter of education. It's a matter of education from the home and at school, at church. It will be done because I think Southern Cameroon Amazonia has built a powerful ethical code, and their educational curriculum has this also in part of it, where that education from the very beginning. Because if you start teaching a child early on in life, you know, start teaching a child early on in life, the right from wrong, you know, good from bad, and then this is you doing that at home, the solidifying the teachings in schools. As they grow up and become adults in society, they will shun away from those practices, and they will find ways of making sure that it's not uh, prevalent in our communities. So, Amazonia, Southern Cameroons, we have our work cut out for us, but we will do it because that's the only way the society will thrive. Otherwise, it will not be better than La Republic du Cameroon. There must be a way. I've always compared Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun that based on our cultural heritage, uh, what we knew, what we were told is that the Englishman is very stringent, very, very uncorruptible, and, Their yes is their yes, their no is their no, and it's just unheard of that they take money to do things. Maybe things have changed, but that's what we believed. And that's how our fathers or our parents were as they were growing up. So things have changed drastically, but we'll make sure that we get things back to where they were supposed to be and even better. So my final
Mhm.
question is, I don't even know if I already asked you, what recommendations do you have for our people? I think you already told them
Like I
to
said
start.
before, our
Yes.
our people need to recognize that bribery and corruption is not good. Your conscience is seared.
Yeah.
You don't sleep good. I mean, you know that you're doing something wrong. Even
Hmm.
though you may be insisting on eating what they have given you, but you know that you have done something wrong. There's a miscarriage of justice. Once you discover that, you need to make up your mind to go the 180 degrees and go the right road. So our people have to do that. And besides that, it says that it is by hearing the good information that people are able to do it. So at all levels, whether it's in church or in school, in the family, at all levels, we need to be teaching our people good ethics. Not only what is written in the Bible, but we have to say that which is right, that which we used to do that is good, so that it goes into the spirit of the children, the young people that are just born, the young people who have just grown under beer and they don't know anything else. They don't even know that Ahijo existed. It goes into them, and then you notice them living out that life. You know, they'll feel guilty trying to take a bribe. They'll feel guilty doing something that is wrong. And then with time, you have a better society. That would, I think our people have to just make up their mind to do the right thing. And we have to continually remind them about it. And eventually it will happen.
I believe so. I believe so. So, just as a summary, as we end this section, because we just want to talk briefly on the next topic. So, just to remind people, the key issues contributing to corruption is impunity for officials. Doc, you could talk about this. A recurring problem in Cameroon is a lack of consequences for corrupt officials. Have you ever
Correct.
seen? Go ahead.
Whenever a terrible thing happens that a high ranking government official has done, they pretend that they have formed a committee to investigate, and then the thing dies. You never hear what happened after the investigation. They didn't find anything, and who did what wrong, and who will be punished. So that's a way of quenching the fire by
Yeah.
pretending that a committee to investigate will be created. So no, La Republique never. First of all, if Ali Baba gets away with all his crimes and all the lies telling, why would the small thieves, the 40 thieves, not also get away?
Absolutely.
You know who I mean by Ali Baba? Ali Baba is Paul Biya. And then his
Yeah.
ministers are the 40 thieves. And everybody who pays allegiance to him and worships him like he is God. Those are the 40 thieves. Anybody worshiping and adoring him and looking at him like only him and nobody else know that they too take bribes. They have been corrupted like he is. Anybody who worships and adores him and speaks like he is the only one, no other person can do anything good in Cameroon or be president. Just know that they are done. They are finished. They are gone long time ago. They have been corrupted and they are corrupt to the core.
Yes. And then another contributing factor is a weak judiciary and limited space for civil society oversight are major factors enabling corruption. So we have a weak
Mhm.
judiciary and limited space for civil society. You want to talk briefly about this?
Well, that's we have two different legal systems. We have the English system, where if somebody is accused, they're not guilty until proven in a law court, and they
Yeah.
gather the data, the facts, they investigate, get all the information, go through a judge, and here in the U.S. you have a jury of your peers. They make the decision. The judge is
Right.
just like an umpire, like the referee. So the prosecutor presents your case why they think you are guilty. The defender defends you and expresses things to show that you are not guilty. The jury, who are like you, your peers, they listen to both sides and all the legal arguments and pass a ruling. And if they feel that if they say you are not guilty, then you're free based on all the facts wherever the chief falls. But in La République du Cameroun, the judicial system, you are guilty first. And the onus is on you to prove that you are innocent. And while they have not even started judging you. They first of all start torturing you and even kill you. That's why you
Yeah.
have many people in jail who have never been brought before a judge and some have died. Those are two different systems. We have two different judicial systems, two different mindsets. We are two different people. One is going east and the other one is going west. We don't belong to each other.
Yeah, you talking about this. I just uh let me see if I remember the name. Uh yes, I just watched a movie. It's an old movie from 1950 something, 57 or so, with Jin who was the biggest actor in that movie. But it was called The 12 Angry Men. I don't know if you've watched that
Mhm.
movie. 12 Angry Men. And the movie is brilliant. We're talking about the legal system. It's brilliant and it's based about this young boy who was, uh, you know, arrested and locked up and being tried for killing his father. So the storyline is just this jury of 12 men sitting in the room to decide the fate of this boy. Now, under La Republic case, where the boy is already guilty and will just have to, so the boy is guilty until proven innocent. Under our system, English system, you're innocent until proven guilty. So now you have the jury where for La Republic case, I can see all the jury, they were like most of them, about majority of them, there are 12 of them, 11 of them have already convicted this boy without really going into the real details of what happened. So that's the La Republic case, where there's this one person who is smart enough to say that if you have to put somebody on death row, you have to make sure that there's no doubt at all. There's no little possibility that that person could be innocent. And Doc, believe me, from the beginning to the end of the movie, that guy was able to convince all the 11 who had already in their mind believed that this guy was guilty, and showed little things that made no sense. And at the end, those 12 jury were 100% confident that that young man was innocent. And that's the type of Cameroon that Ambazonia that we want, not La République du Cameroun, that they probably wanted to be bribed or whatever so that they can just finish the case quickly and lock it up. I just brought that up because I just watched a movie recently and I thought it was just brilliant. Okay, another thing about issues contributing to corruption, it says sectoral corruption. High levels of corruption are found in specific sectors, including the police, the public service, land administration, tax administration, and public procurement. That one is so tough for our people because our people suffer. Even the common person suffers because of all of that. You want to touch that briefly?
In fact, there is not no place where there is no corruption.
That's true.
Children whose parents have died, they were born in a family compound. They lived with their grandparents, and their navels were buried behind plantains behind the house. And then their parents have died, and they are told they have to register their land. When they go to register their land, they turn them around, take bribes, then inform a francophone that there's a land over there. They come and offer you money to buy off the land from you and displace you, and you start renting in your homeland, in your own village where you were born.
Yeah.
You start renting, and then francophones now have it. And then the person who is supposed to give you the land title is those are francophones that turn you around. They turn you around until you sell most of your land and have nothing left, and defraud you of your family property,
Yeah.
of your inheritance. And that is a tragedy that our people are living under. After Muna and Egbe and the others took bribes and collaborated to dismantle our institutions. And that's where our children have ended today.
Yeah. Well, maybe we pray that when we get our land back, the fact that they have headstones of our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, or grandmothers behind those homes will make them understand that that's our land, and all these people will be kicked away. They'll have to go. They will have to go. They cannot continue living in our land. Um, so we're going to come to the next topic, which is just a brief topic. Um, we just celebrated September 22nd a few days ago. Remember 2017, that was when our people massively came out all over the territory of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, declaring that they didn't want La Republic to be in our land anymore. Um, that was just a huge revolution, because for people to come out like that, brave enough to come out, walking the streets, old and young, rich and poor, you know, um, all calibers of life came out in the villages, in the towns, in the cities, and even in the diaspora. There were walks in Washington, D.C., in New York, even here in California, where we had a meeting. That tells something, that the people have realized that enough is enough. Really, enough is enough. So we wanted to find out. That was September 22nd, 2017. And then October 1st, 2017, the former interim president, Ayuk Tabe, Sissoko Ayuk Tabe, as he was called then, declared the restoration of our independence. So based on this history, Doc, I want to ask you this question. What is the legitimacy of the restoration of Southern Cameroon's independence on October 1st, 2017? I know this is just a big topic, and the question is so broad, but I just wanted us to talk about it.
Correct. So basically, it's based on the firm promises that Ahidjo gave in front of the Decolonization Committee of the United Nations before we even went to vote to join them.
Okay.
And I was trying to find the document so I can read the 18 points. It's quite long, but I just wanted to highlight them. But basically, in those 18 points, Ahidjo promised that the two countries will come together as equals. It will be a federated state. One country will not annex the other, and that they will respect our institutions, our educational system, our language, political culture, and all of that. And that if at any point any party is dissatisfied, they can withdraw. Mark that word. If at any point any party to this agreement was not happy, they can withdraw.
Right.
And since independence, since we joined La République du Cameroun, as we call it, our people have felt disgruntled. We talked about Foncha himself, how Ahidjo kicked him out. And then he felt he was going to meet his brothers to try to save what they had tried to do in Fumban. And they were bribed. And then we know the story of Dinka when biya seceded from the union, when biya reverted back to the name that they had before we met in Fumban, which means that he's the one who seceded. We are not seceding. biya seceded. And Dinka told him to be logical to his philosophy. If he is seceding to his previous name, then pull out your troops and your governmental infrastructures from our land and leave us to ourselves, which they will not listen to. And then, of course, they persecuted him, almost killed him, and by the grace of God, he escaped and is alive. And then Frundi came in 1990, all that revolution and all what went through, and Frundi defeating Biya in elections that Mitterrand would not allow Frundi to be president. And of course, people have always expressed these grievances in one way or another, to the point where they held the Bamenda one and the Boya conferences and threatened that they would declare our independence. And then they bribed them. Monzu was bribed and given a UN job to go to the UN. And Carlson Anyangwe escaped to South Africa, and all those people that spearheaded that at that time. So what I'm trying to say is that when it came to a head again in 2016, and Ayuk Tabe declared our independence in 2017, based on the promises of Ahidjo before the UN Council that if at any time we were dissatisfied, we were free to leave. That is legitimate and stands before the courts of heaven and any court, any human court. When you present it there, we have a legitimate reason to secede from them. Secondly, the union that was attempted a Fumban was not held the way it was supposed to be. That means we were a United Nations trust territory. We belong to the United Nations. We were administered on behalf of the United Nations by Britain, while the Republic was administered on behalf of the United Nations by the French after they had seized the German colony and broken it into two parts. So when we were supposed to meet after the plebiscite, after Ahidjo's promises, like I just mentioned, to debate how to come together, the United Nations was supposed to sit there as that one who owns us.
Yeah.
The British were supposed to sit there as those who administered us from 2000 and 1916 right through to 1961 to make sure that our interests were protected. And the French could do the same for La République. And then they debate and craft a constitution that will meet the aspirations and service the interests and needs of our people. But that did not happen because the UN Secretary General, the man from Norway, Dag Hammarskjöld, who was a good guy going around trying to help African nations to get independence, was killed in the Congo as he was going to leave Congo and come to Buea to prepare Fancha for this meeting. So that's why the UN was not there. Then the British had connived with the French behind and decided to take money in exchange for their so-called investments in West Cameroon. And so when they brought down the Union Jack on September 30th of 1961 at midnight, they handed it back to Ahidjo instead of handing it to Fancha, who was the prime minister. It was supposed to have been handed to Fancha, and then Fancha would take it along to this negotiation. But the British displayed their conspiracy with the French when they despised Fancha and handed it back to Ahidjo. So now, this was just a side meeting in Fumban, where Ahidjo met with Fancha and the French were there, and the British were not to be seen, and the United Nations were not there, and they just had a side talk and then claimed that according to the proposal that we gave you, and the people had never seen the proposal, and they just hurriedly put a little something, and Ahidjo went and rubber stamped it in his parliament, and our parliament, our House of Assembly never debated and adopted it. Therefore, that so-called attempted union was null and void. And so our declared independence is valid because based on Ahidjo's promises, we were disgruntled and it was time for us to get off.
You've put it so bluntly that there should be no misunderstanding. And that is why this coming weekend, our people will be meeting in Washington, D.C., Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, perhaps, to just have a conference to solidify what is rightfully a country that has promises for its people. There's something that is simple that puzzles me. And I used to ask this question, and it could be like a layman asking a stupid question. It's like, why should another country decide whether we should be a nation or not? Why should it be up to somebody else to decide whether we should be a country or not? All these other countries that have been countries, nations, who decided on them to be countries or nations based on what? So we Southern Cameroons, when the United Nations had decided to, and I believe it was one of the early presidents of the United States of America that this idea of African countries to get their own independence. I think it was his second or third president. I don't remember that history that well, but if I go back to look at it, I may remind people. He said that it was time for African countries to be free to rule their own land. So he is saying that based on the fact that America itself came from somewhere and decided to settle here because they were not happy with what was happening in Britain or the United Kingdom. I should say Britain at that time. So now we are Southern Cameroons. We've gone through hell, but we had a history where we were governing ourselves in the late 50s, early 60s, and early 70s to some extent. Why is it that now that we want to be a nation again and have total control over our land, why is it a problem? Why is it a problem? And the answer
Actually,
is
we have to liberate our minds from expecting somebody to grant us our freedom. We have to take
exactly.
it and believe in ourselves that we're free. See, you cannot put joy in somebody's heart and force it. You can give them something, but the joy has to come from within.
Yeah.
They have to feel it in themselves and pronounce it with their mouth that I'm free, or that I'm happy, or that I'm joyful. So too with freedom. You have to feel free. Feel that you are free. Don't feel like you are a slave. You are not a slave. And when you feel that you are free, you will pronounce it and you act like it and you behave like that. I'll give you an example, but from the Bible. So when Paul and Silas were locked up in jail, they were chained.
Yeah.
Chains, arms, legs attached to soldiers. They were not in there crying, "Oh, I need to be free. May the big man come and free." They were just worshiping and praising God. And suddenly an angel emerged, liberated them. There was an earthquake. And then the jailer, the one who was watching over them, was the one who wanted to kill himself. He said, "Oh, I'm dead. They will kill me the next morning." And Paul said, "No, don't kill yourself. We're still here." And eventually the man changed his mind and they became friends. But what I'm saying is that the freedom has to come from within you. Feel free. Know that you are free. Don't let La Republic undermine you and tell you that you are a second-class citizen. You are not a second-class citizen. When the creator of the universe created human beings, the Bible says that, I'm not trying to preach here, but I believe in the Bible. For me, is the classic book to go to first.
Right.
It says that after God had created everything, he crowned it all by creating man. So man was the last thing that he created as like the icing on the cake. And we are precious in his sight. And after he had taken the earth and formed man, he breathed life into the man. So we are precious in God's sight. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, whether you're tall or fat or thin or whatever. You have that breath of God in you, so you are precious. Regard yourself as unique and precious. Appreciate yourself. If people may look down on you, but don't worry about them. Don't look down on yourself. The Bible says, love others as you love yourself. That means you need to love yourself and then turn out and love the others. So love yourself, believe in yourself. And then when you know that you are free, act like you're free. Even when you are in chains like Paul and Silas were. And as you are acting like you're free, you see the chains fall off. So let the children of Southern Cameroon rejoice in the land. Let them go around speaking like they know that they are free from La République du Cameroun. Then you will see those troops vanish from the land. Those DOs will vanish from the land. They will all go away as Ali Baba and the 40 thieves are swept out of sight. That's what I think. We should act like we're free. Some say fake it until you make it. We are not faking it. Let us make it because we have it.
Yes, let's make it because we have it. Let's make it because we are free. We were born free. We're never part of La République du Cameroun, And so October 1st is on Wednesday, a few days from now. And we'll probably see a lot of activities in our territory and also in the diaspora of people celebrating this great day. And that is one holiday that does La Republic celebrate October 1st? I don't even remember.
Well,
Do they celebrate
of course they don't. They don't celebrate October 1st. They don't even celebrate January 1. Imagine that the whole wide world is celebrating January 1 as the first day of the new year, the New Year's Day. That is the day that La Republic would have faked their national day like the whole world is celebrating with them.
Exactly.
They despise it.
Exactly.
They despise it. And then they went and took this fake Ahijo's 20th May that he got
May.
instructions from the Elysee to come and dismantle our infrastructure and got away with the federation and then use it as their national day, as basically the day of annexing Southern Cameroon. It's a tragedy. You know, they are fake. They have never been authentic. They don't even know the day that they were born. They
Okay,
don't know
so
who they are.
they don't know who they are. Exactly. They are lost. They are lost. At least we Southern Cameroons, Amazonia, we know our one day, October 1st, that will celebrate in perpetuity. So, what is your final take-home message to our people watching from all over La Republic of Cameroon? Those who are watching in Southern Cameroon itself, those who are watching in the diaspora, what is their final message for them about October 1st, 2025?
Yes, let's get out and celebrate in style, even if it's in your home. If your life is at risk, if you think that if you go out there, a foolish La Republic military guy who can be even one of us in uniform or one of theirs can shoot you, don't put your life at risk. Stay where you are safe and enjoy yourself. Celebrate like we used to celebrate Christmas and 1st of January. Cook yourself a small rice and some chicken. Get you some good drink and enjoy yourself with your family and celebrate that we're free. Celebrate
Exactly.
yourself. You know,
Exactly.
inside the Bible again, I keep quoting. One time, David was who had such problems that the Bible says he encouraged himself. That means don't wait for somebody to come and encourage you. Encourage yourself. So let us celebrate for ourselves. Decide to cook yourself something unique for yourself and enjoy on that day and celebrate. Don't worry about all the others. They have been bribed and they tell lies. If you see people telling lies, don't believe them. Like Paul Tassom went to Lobialem and said that before the elections they will tie all the roads in Lobialem. Can you imagine?
Yes, talk
And he
about that.
was
I heard about that. Is that what is
and
that?
he was standing in the rain with umbrella over his head on mud, saying that before this election in how many weeks they will tie all the roads in Lobialem. When in 43 years they have not tied the ring road. And Le Drian came to Cameroon when this revolution started in 2016, 2017, and said the French said they were going to do something in English Cameroon by giving 49 billion to build some infrastructures in West Cameroon, and they are barely trying to do something in Do and Cambe now. Remember that even before the revolution, the national budget they will give 49 million billion to Northwest for development, give something around the same amount to the Southwest, give 200 billion to the Southern zone where Biya is from, and divide it all over the country. That 49 billion went like nothing, like butter in the sun. Then Lodrin is coming and giving the same 49 billion to construct the Northwest and Southwest. That's laughing. They are using it now in Donga and Mantung because Donga and Mantung always celebrates with CBD and whenever they're doing like Black Lives. When Frundi came, uh, they also had Tamfu who wanted to get an extreme northwest province, extreme savannah province, just to be eating from Yaoundé. So they have always
Mhm.
compromised the Donga Mantung types. I'm not talking about our friends from Donga Mantung, but that region, you always have some people there. So now they have gone to concentrate little tarring of the road there. Well, we thank God that they are fixing their road. That is something that should have been done long time ago. Fixed much better than they are pretending to do. But is the road to whom fixed? Is it all the ring road has it been done? It's not been done for over 43 years. And now this, I don't know how to describe him, stands and tells you that before the elections we will tie roads in Lobelem. If you listen to such a fellow, it means that the brain in your head is dead.
Yeah.
Your head,
Yeah.
your brain, the cell between your ears and your scalp and your head is not working because that's
But
a
even
blatant lie.
but even the person uttering those words like that, what is he thinking that the world will hear him say that and think of him? Because it just
He's just
shows
being a
how
fanatic.
honest, you know.
He's just being a fanatic. That's the same guy. After they had bribed the Lobialem warriors, then he said that the Northwest and Southwest had been reconstructed.
Hmm.
And the Bamenda University gave him a PhD for
Yeah.
that. So has the Northwest and Southwest been reconstructed? No. That is the 99.9% intelligence of the Bangwa people, as they say. I'm not trying to say bad things about the Bangwa people, but they say that they have 99.9% intelligence. So that is it. So, for according to their 99.9% intelligence, the Northwest and Southwest have been reconstructed. And
Right.
before this election, the roads in Lobelem will be tapped. So you can just imagine the level of intelligence.
Anyway, thank you so much, Doc, for coming to the Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. We've
Hmm.
talked two main topics: this bribery and corruption culture that we find in La République du Cameroun, that is just in their bloodstream, in their veins, and it's not going anywhere. As time goes on, it gets worse. And we want just to understand that we have trying to build a Southern Cameroon's Amazonia where things will be the opposite, where from a young child growing up, people know right from wrong, the true from false, and respect society, respect the norms of society, so that we have a society that will be thriving, not one that they have now that has no bearing, that is just going downhill in every aspect of it, every aspect. We don't want to be part of La République du Cameroun at all. Thank you, Doc. I don't know if you want to have one more last word as we end the program. It's been a privilege as usual.
Yes, things will change for the better. I know, believe me. I mean, sometimes before the light comes in the morning, things look so dark. When you come out after midnight, sometime around 2, 3 a.m., the night is so dark, you cannot see any light. You doubt whether light will come. Yes, but eventually the light emerges and then there is daylight. So don't worry about all this rubbish that La Republic is doing. You will see them no more. They will be swept out of sight into the dustbin of history, just like Ahijo used to be there, did his mischief and maltreated Foncha, and then was relegated by his successor, and now his cops, they're struggling to bring it back. So this guy too will be relegated, and you will see it with your own eyes. Anyway, that's what I will tell our people. Don't worry, the light is coming. You will see the difference.
Yes, thank you so much. I want to appreciate everyone watching today. This next few days, starting from the 1st of October through the time that they have their fake elections, will be trying times for our people. The advice we give you is to be very watchful of your surroundings, to stay home as possible. I think there will be a national lockdown announced soon. I don't know what those days are yet, but pay attention to what our government is telling you. We want you to remain safe. We want to remind our young people, well, not only young people, our youth and our elderly people, men and women, that you have no business taking part in an election that is in La République du Cameroun. Let them go ahead and vote for whoever they want to vote for in their land. If they want to make biya president again, that's up to them. And France, it has nothing to do with us. Our thing is that we just want to have total control of our land so that we can have young and dynamic leaders that will be able to make our country grow in every element that it need develop a country to develop in. We want to build our infrastructures. We want to build our educational systems. We want to make sure our legal system stays solid. We want that every child has the means of dreaming big and achieving those dreams, because that's all what parents want for their kids, the opportunities to grow in a safe environment and eventually become contributing adults in the society. So with that said, I want to wish you all happy Independence Day. I don't think the horizon will be on again till after Independence Day. I want to wish you all a happy Independence Day, and one more time, celebrate as peacefully as you can, remembering that you want to be as safe as possible. Thank you so much for being on this program today, Dr. Lobati, as always. And till next time, bye for now.
You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.